Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Kidlit Social. I'm Laura Backus, publisher of the Children's Book Insider newsletter, and I'm so happy you're here with me this evening, either live or on replay. We have a lot of people joining us here for the first time tonight, so if you would like to get on our mailing list so you hear about all of our social guests, as well as other fun stuff we're doing, go to writeforkids.org/ultimate-cheat sheet. It's right on your screen there. You'll get on our list and you'll get a free ebook where we have compiled almost 32 years worth of beginner knowledge in writing for children into one free ebook, and that is your gift for getting on our list. And if you're on our list, you get all the replay links the next day with hyperlinks to everything we talk about in the social. So that's really, really handy to have. And if you are interested in subscribing to our newsletter, Children's Book Insider, which is about to start celebrating its 30th month of publication in May, or 30th month. Oh my gosh, 32nd year of publication in May. Writeforkids.org/CBI, $5 a month, delivered to your inbox every month, about 20 pages of information, including a special Above the Slush Pile code with either an editor or agent each month, where you get to use a special code to submit to them on a special form and jump over the slush pile, or sometimes get to submit to editors or agents who are not otherwise taking submissions. And that is a special perk for being a subscriber, as well as lots of other great stuff on our membership site with lots of archived articles, videos, information, etc. Okay, Celebrate. This is the biggest Celebrate I've ever had. I considered saving some for next time, and I thought, nah, we want to celebrate everything right now. So Vicky Crabel writes, I am so excited to share that after almost 50 years of trying to have a book published, I have finally succeeded. Just comes to show to never give up on one's dreams and goals. My book is a collection of fictional short stories entitled 8th Street 9, which is about a group of kids growing up in the 50s and 60s in small town America. It was published by Wick House Publishing and can be purchased on Amazon and Kindle. And she says, I want to thank CBI for being a behind the scenes support. Your newsletter and Kidlit Socials have brought information, ideas, and encouragement. Well, Vicky, we are so happy for you. I know you've been a long time member of our CBI family, and so this is just such exciting news. Congratulations to you. And yes, there is no expiration date on your dreams. So good for you for hanging in there, Vicky, and not giving up. Sheila Flynn DeCossie's historical fiction novel, Rose Alone, is being published by TBR Books. Yay, Sheila! Thank you for sharing. You are a frequent participant in the Kidlit Social, and congratulations. And our friend Violet LeMay writes, Let's Be Friends, a Lift the Flap book, won a first place award from BookFest in the Children's Multicultural Diversity Division. Violet, congratulations. That is awesome. And this is a wonderful board book. It really is. I love it. So you should all go check that out. And we had an interview with Violet on the Kidlit Social. You can watch all our replays on our website, which I will give you the URL in just a second. Okay, and then I got another slide. I got to move stuff out of the way here so I can read everything. Vicki Thomas's young adult fantasy, The Long Dark Cloak, which is book one of the Relics Adventure series, will be released on May 11th from Wild Rose Press and is available for pre-order on Amazon. And she writes, I'm very excited to see my dream come true and to share this good news with all the writers and authors out there. My appreciation to CBI for their smart programs and encouragement to writers. You are awesome. Thank you, Vicki. And you are awesome for accomplishing your dream here and sharing it with us. So this is great, and I'm really happy for you. And I know Vicki's here tonight, so congrats, Vicki. And Marta Magellan reveals the cover of her new picture book, Just Wild Enough, to be published by Albert Whitman this fall. It is the story of a former NFL cheerleader who discovered and helped save a new species and is available now for pre-order. Isn't that awesome? I love picture book biographies and how you writers are digging up these really, really interesting people and telling their stories for kids. This is awesome. So congratulations, Marta. Finally, Pat J. Wheeler has updated her author website and blog, and she's included a sign-up form so other fellow pre-published authors can join to share my self-publishing journey. Check it out at pjwheeler.com. And she also includes her dog, Bella, on her site, which is why I had to share Bella with you. And Pat is doing two things that we teach. I have another course called Writer's Secret Sauce, which I'll tell you all about sometime, that Pat took at one point, and we talked about doing two things that she does here. And April, we can talk about this with April too. She has a sign-up form on her blog so that anybody who visits can subscribe. And that's really smart because then you're getting emails from people. And when you have a book come out, you'll have an email list to tell about your new book. So that's awesome, Pat. And we also teach shamelessly exploit your pets. And you do a lovely job of that here, Pat, with darling Bella. So thank you for sharing her with us. Send us your good news. mail@writeforkids.org is the email. You can email me your celebrations and put celebrate in the subject line. Please put celebrate in the subject line. Otherwise, I might miss it. It goes into a different folder, and I don't want to miss any of your celebrations. And I will feature you on a future Kidlit social. And no celebration is too small. We celebrate every step of your journey. And if you go to writeforkids.org, that is also the name of our website. And right across the top, there's a little tab called Kidlit Social. If you click on that, you can see all the replays of all the socials that I've done. And I don't know how long they're going to be there because we have a lot of them now. I've done this for over 2 years. So, and I used to do it every week when we first started, which was insane. Can you believe I did that? I did that for like a year. It was the pandemic. Time didn't make sense back then. But it's taken up a lot of space. So at some point, we're going to have to start pulling some of these replays down. So if there's anything you want to make sure you see, go check it out. Okay, now I have a really cool link of interest this week. This is an essay by Annie Barrows called Ramona Quimbley and the Art of Writing from a Kid's Mind. Annie Barrows is a wonderful author. She writes the Ivy and Bean chapter book series, among other books. She's very well known. And this is about how she learned to get inside the head of her readers when she first started out as a reader. It's really good, and you all need to read it. It's on the Literary Hub newsletter, and I made a direct link, bit.ly/writing kids mind. We're taken. So it's really good. Just go read it. You will learn a lot. Okay. So now I'm going to introduce my wonderful guest tonight. So April Cox and Self-Publishing Made Simple. And Little Labradoodle Publishing started out as a passion project for her. When she had grandchildren, she wanted to leave behind a legacy of books, and she started writing down stories, and this series was born. And then when she was laid off of her job after 30 years in the IT business corporate world, she saw it as an opportunity instead of a setback. I love that. And she decided to follow her passion. So she created Little Labradoodle Publishing, which clearly I can't say. And then after seeing how many fellow authors were struggling to get their books published, she launched her author work group and has evolved into her self-publishing Made Simple program, which we will also talk about tonight. So she has an awful lot to offer you, and I just wanted to give you a quick look at her adorable books here from Little Labradoodle. So these are the ones that she has self-published, and you can see how well done they are. So April, why don't you come on with me? Welcome. I will stop sharing my screen in just a minute so we can chat better. Can't quite see you yet.
Yep, just looks like my video. There we go. I'm here. Hi, everyone.
There you go.
This is so awesome to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, we're so happy you're here. Before we launch into the whole self-publishing, because you really are an expert on self-publishing, and that's kind of what we're going to talk about tonight. But do you want to tell us a little bit about your books that you authored and self-published?
Sure. Well, I'm up to 8 books now and still have some more in the queue. Love, love, love that Disney look and feel. And I am inspired by my little Labradoodles, my grandkids. It's been such a fun journey. And at the time, I just needed a passion project. I was so tired of the 80-hour work weeks and the grind, and just threw myself into this. Boy, I'll tell you, when they told me that there was going to be a layoff and my name was on that list, you could have seen me do cartwheels in the hallway, because I was so excited that not only was I going to be finally getting what I prayed for, which was an exit plan from my job of 35 years, but I was going to get an opportunity and a severance package to be able to throw myself into a business that I love and doing what, just it's so much fun. I mean, who doesn't love cuddling a child, reading a book? I fell in love with these children's books all over again. And we do a lot of storytelling together with my grandkids. So we would make up stories. And when I was looking for something to kind of take my mind away from just being bored and being in a situation I wasn't happy in, I just had to find something. And boy, I had so much fun. The kids love doing the activity books. They love seeing themselves in these picture books. And of course, I tell a lot of my true stories about my Labradoodles, and we get to make some really cool, cute cartoon characters out of it.
Awesome. Well, that's great. So clearly you've learned a lot from doing that, and you're using your expertise now to help other people become self-published authors, realize their own dreams. So that's great. So let's start. I want to kind of pull back and give you a big picture question here to start with. When I started out working in publishing back in the mid 1980s, and really for about 20 years after that, self-published books were pretty much looked down upon. They were not given the same respect as traditionally published books. They didn't get reviewed. They didn't get carried in bookstores. Has this attitude changed?
I have really seen a major shift. I see bookstores having a whole new approach. At least, some of the ones in my area, we see, Barnes and Noble and others taking the self-published books onto their website, bringing the books in the store. We see Publisher Weekly having their own arm now with the Book Life part of things, and really dedicating. There are amazing indie book awards out there. There's the Indie Author Project. So if there wasn't such a shift in the mentality, and don't get me wrong, there are people out there that are not producing high quality books, but that's not our group, right? We're here because we want to be the top of the top. We want to produce amazing quality books, and they're out there, and we are seeing so many of you in our group and others just doing such beautiful work that we would be happy to sit right next to the bookshelf with traditionally published books, and they shouldn't be able to tell a huge difference because you're doing it the right way.
Absolutely. And really the technology has evolved, and also the ability to market has evolved to a point
Mhm.
where you don't need a big marketing team behind you to get the word out like you used to. Again, back in the 80s when I started, we had a huge marketing department in the publishing house that was their entire job. And it's very different now. It's much easier for individuals to market themselves. And we could talk about that in a few minutes. So if someone's considering self-publishing, what are some of the first questions they should ask themselves to know if this is the right route for them? For example, are there certain types of books or certain subjects that tend to lend themselves better to self-published books?
I don't necessarily think there's certain topics. I think it's really more about the attitude. I have had some authors who, have had a book on their shelf for years, and they've tried traditional publishing routes, and they've gathered a shoebox full of rejection letters. And they have really amazing books and they want to get it out. So they're inspired by what they're seeing in self-publishing. I have others like myself. I never once considered traditional publishing because for me, I wanted to be in control completely. Call me a control freak, but I didn't want somebody else telling me what my cover needed to look like, what illustrator I needed to work with. I didn't want them taking my manuscript and feeling like I'm no longer able to make those decisions because they're now in the hand of a publisher. And I also hate waiting for things. So, I mean, I'm cranking books out, and I see some of our self-published authors and others are, multiple books, 4 to 6 books in a year is not uncommon once you start moving forward. And that just doesn't happen in the traditionally published environment. It could take two or more years just to get your published book, which you've worked many months on, many years on to prepare for, to actually just see the light of day.
Mm-hmm. That's true. The timeline, especially with children's books, it can be years. If you're waiting for a certain illustrator to become free, and children's publishers especially tend to plan their lists 2, 3, 4 years in advance. So patience is definitely necessary. What are some considerations an author needs to make when considering self-publishing? For example, cost, the ability, how much time they need to take to market the book, things like that. What are the top 2 or 3 things that people should really be aware of?
Yeah. So one of the things that some people really they miss is that is there a market out there for your book? Have you done your research? Because you really need to know your audience. You need to know their pain points. What are they looking for? And know that if you have sub niche down so much, you may have a desire to get your book out there, and maybe it's honoring somebody that you love and you want to get this story out in the world. But if you're looking to do it as an authorpreneur, start a business, want to really sell books, if you're not doing research up front and really validating your idea, then you may find yourself, with a really difficult situation after the fact, realizing, wow, this didn't have the appeal that I thought it would, or it's just not selling, even if you've done a beautiful, high quality book. So don't skip the research. Another thing I would say is really dedicate yourself to producing a high quality book. There are people out there who will say, you can do your own book cover. You can lay things out in PowerPoint or other things. Really understand and move forward with somebody that is going to help you, or do it yourself. But yes, make sure that just because it says self-publishing doesn't mean you have to do it yourself. You want to build a team of high quality people. Cover design is so important. You want to make sure you never skip a professional edit, and you should have a professional editor who is very, very familiar with your genre of book, because you want, and don't try to lay it out yourself. I have seen some gorgeous illustrations beautiful cover, and then you go to the interior and it's like, they really missed the mark on this, right? You want to make sure all of the different pieces are there so that in the end, you can be proud of that self-published book, and it will, you give it every chance for success. So quality is really, really huge. And there's a lot that goes into self-publishing. So for those that are investing their time and their effort to learn, if you are wanting to be an authorpreneur and you want to supplement your income, or maybe like me someday, do that cartwheel in the hallway and say, you know what, I am out of here, I'm making this a full-time gig for myself, then you are going to need to make those commitments, do the right things, and make sure you're getting the support that you need.
Mm-hmm. That's really, really an important point, because as creative people, especially if you're traditionally publishing, submitting, you spend all your time in the creative part of creating the book. But publishing is a business, and what you're doing is creating a product that you want to sell. And if you're an authorpreneur, like you said, you at some point have to embrace the entire business in order to be successful. And so being able to make that shift from creative person to business person is very important. Do you find that people sometimes have trouble with that at the beginning, that they feel like somehow they're not as much of an artist if they don their business hat and do things like market research and create a budget and outsource certain things that they can't do themselves as well as they should?
Well, I think that there are so many things that go into self-publishing that sometimes it feels like drinking from a fire hose. You are trying to understand the process. You're trying to understand who does what and when, and where are all the pitfalls, that it's very easy to, marketing is an afterthought, or the business side is an afterthought. And I even say, here, some people will get to the end of their publishing journey and say, I never thought it was going to be so expensive. They don't think to do that business analysis and their budgeting up front. So my recommendation is, when you're starting, you're brand new, you don't know what you don't know. So get a coach, a self-publishing coach or mentor who's been there and can help you through it, to really help you understand all the different aspects. And don't be afraid of drinking from that fire hose. It gets easier. The knowledge is going to come. You might have to hear things multiple times, attend these amazing meetings that Laura has and others, and just learn, because the more you learn, the more your brain is working, the better business person you're going to be, the better self-publishing books that you will create. So don't give up on that, and just really throw yourself into it.
Well, and again, if you make an analogy with any other business, if I was going to open a clothing store, I wouldn't just rent a space and get some clothes from my friends and throw them on racks and say I'm open. I mean, I would learn the business, and I would learn how to know what is good fashion, what does my community want, etc. And so it's the same thing with becoming an entrepreneur, as you said. Right. So you talked a lot about some mistakes people make, especially with that design, and that is so important, because when self-published books first started kind of hitting the shelves, you could tell immediately they were self-published, a lot of them. Yes. And the best ones now you can't. They sit side by side with traditionally published books, and they look just as beautiful, as high quality, as well done. And that is so important. Are there any other sort of common mistakes that pop right out at you that you see all the time?
Yeah. Don't skip that professional edit. I've had people come to me and they're ready. They think they're ready. They just asking me to help them upload to Amazon, and I have to them, and I look at the cover, or I look at the manuscript, and I see some obvious mistakes and things that should have happened prior to coming to me. And I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but I'll always tell the truth. And we have to back up and say, you know what, we got to go through that professional edit. it. Let's stop. We got to go slow to go fast. We need to make sure that when we launch this, it's going to be high quality. And also making marketing an afterthought is such a mistake. And it needs to be peppered into everything you do from beginning to end. At the beginning, you're just allowing people to maybe follow your journey. And every step of the way, you're doing a little more, you're learning a little more. Book marketing is going to take time to understand and to learn. So, but don't make it, when you click publish, now you think, okay, what am I going to do to market this book? It has to start right from the very beginning.
Yeah, that's great.
And also, you don't have to do this yourself. We talked about that. And the number one mistake that self-published author, well, let's just say people that are creating books and they want to be published, the number one mistake people make is giving up. They never get there. There's been surveys out there where they say about 82% of people surveyed and say that they have a book inside them that they want and need, and it needs to be heard. People need this book. And a very small percentage of them ever start writing their book, and only 1% ever finish it. So don't give up, get the support you need, and make sure you get that book out into the world, because it can make a difference in somebody's life. And that's what I feel so blessed to be having a small role in that, with working with my authors. Yeah,
that is so true. The fact, those of you who are here, who are actually writing your book or have written it, you are in the top 1%. So pat yourself on the back right there, because that's a huge accomplishment that you haven't given up. That is huge. So I often get asked what it costs to self-publish a book. And I know this is a big question and there's so many variables. It's hard to give a number. But are you comfortable giving any sort of ballpark?
Oh, yeah. Well, and let's just say the big majority of what I do, a lot of it is with children's book authors, although it's becoming much more frequent to be working with people that are writing adult literature or middle grade literature, novels, memoirs, things like that. But one of the things that I do with my course is right up front, we want to get an idea of what the budget is, because I don't ever want you to be surprised by it. And I have a template. And that template that I provide to folks has a low, medium, high, right? Because it's not one answer, right? So there are people that come in with kind of a low budget, they have a low budget, but I would say if you are not prepared to spend a few $1,000s on publishing your book, that's creating really beautiful illustrations, cover design, interior layout, and adding a little bit for marketing and promotions and advertising that you're going to need to do, then I wouldn't move forward. I would much rather see you save, learn, spend some time going through that, than to try to cut it smaller than that. Now, having said that, I will say that there are a number of people who have found a diamond in the rough on Fiverr, and maybe they're paying $20 an illustration. That is the exception and not the rule. Right. And you want to have, I would say for illustrations, the average that for a really high quality illustrator is about $85 per page. So if you've got, 20 pages that you need to create, and you can have a gorgeous book spending around that per page for your book. And of course, there's lots of other costs as well. And I have all of that. And I'm happy to share that with you, Laura, and give that, be able to put a link out there that your folks can get to see what that budget looks like. That would be awesome. So we'll include that link with the replay. And that's really helpful, April. We appreciate that. So, that is probably 3,000. I would say if you've got 3,000 coming in, that's like on the low end. I wouldn't go less than that. 5,000, 3, 5, 7. I've seen as much as, 15,000 or more just for illustrations. But most of the people that I'm targeting are doing a high quality book, but they're not wanting to spend double digits on illustration. They don't need a Disney illustrator. They don't need really fancy, especially on your first book. It's not going to be your best book. It's going to be your first book. So let's, I kind of go through that, and it's good to have someone who can also help you find really great resources at a very reasonable price.
Yes, yes, that's great. And I know that that's sticker shock for a lot of people listening, but it's good to know this because skimping on illustrations will definitely affect your sales. Absolutely. And
Yes.
you know, if you start paying attention when you go into a bookstore or a library and you are looking at, say, the picture books, if you're a picture book writer, what do you look at first? The cover, the title. Those are usually, unless there's a specific book you went in there to read and to find, if you're
Mhm.
browsing, the cover, the title are what grab you.
Yeah.
And if those aren't amazing and top notch, you're not even going to pick up the book. And then you sort of thumb through, might read the first couple pages, but these are a visual medium, picture books.
Yes.
And so spending the money on those illustrations is so important. And now you
Absolutely.
understand why publishers don't
I'm sorry.
publish
I happen
everything.
to notice in the chat, I've got some
Yeah.
people saying that, what about other kinds of books? So if you've got
Mhm.
picture books, obviously you're doing a lot of images, you're
Sure.
working with an illustrator. If you've got a middle grade book, perhaps there's very little images, or you want to limit the number of images. That is something, instead of having 27 pages that are all illustrated, you could do half of that and have words
Yes.
on one page, images on another. Or if you're looking at a middle grade book, you can reduce the cost by having kind of sketch-like illustrations
Mhm.
that think
Mhm.
of Diary of a Wimpy Kid and other things like that. They don't have a lot of color. They have
Right.
sketches and they pepper them in throughout. If you have a nonfiction book or you've got a memoir, you're dealing typically with, you've got your manuscript and your big cost is your editing. And you're going to want to do a knockout cover. I've seen people charge $100 for a cover. I've seen it be $1,200 for a cover, right? So there's a lot of variation with these
Mhm.
kinds of things, but you absolutely can use spot illustrations. You can do something really high quality that still stays within your budget. I just don't want you to think you
Right.
can, go and spend $500 for a beautiful children's book and have it a picture book that's going to get out there for that little. It's
Mhm.
very few and far between for people
Yes.
to get that.
Yes. Absolutely. Great. Um, So let's talk a little bit about promotion here. And
Mhm.
this applies to all authors, not just self-published authors, but more and more traditionally published authors are stepping up and taking over a lot of the promotion of their books. So if an author wants to spend some money on promoting their new book, what would be the best one or two places to put those promotion dollars? Because it's easy to go crazy and sort of scatter, use the
Yeah.
scatter approach, and that's not always very effective.
Well, I don't think that there's a one size fits all answer for every
Mhm.
author. So normally when I'm working with an author, and even early on in my courses, we create a marketing plan. Now, there are some authors, and a lot of it is not just what can you do, but what do you love to do? Because it's really important to do that. You're going to do much better doing the things that you really enjoy. So I have some authors that just love doing children's visits. So they're in schools and doing things like that. So maybe if that's what you really love and you really want to focus on putting a lot of time and effort into that, you're going to invest money in making sure that you are connecting, I've got, one author that he creates beautiful posters. He reaches out to schools. He spends a lot of money and time just focusing on that part that he really loves.
Mhm.
Some absolutely, they love events and doing things locally with events, with libraries and other. Now, if you're going to set up a booth and you're going to be selling your book at events, then there's some things you're going to have to invest in there as well. Yes, there are also, if you are a very busy person and you don't have a lot of time for all of these things, then you may want to put a lot of time and effort into the Amazon ads and trying to drive people to your ads, whether it be Facebook. Just get people aware of your book, because there's a sea of millions of books out there.
Mm-hmm.
So it has to be a multifaceted marketing plan, but you can pick and choose where you want to focus at the beginning. Certainly a lot of time can be spent. If you've got more time than money, you can do your own social media marketing. You can get the word out. You can be capturing emails and, and reaching out to people and doing a good job of outreach, connecting with teachers. And in order to really be very successful with your marketing, you really have to know who your target audience is, where are they hanging out? Is it the teachers? Is it the homeschoolers? And where's the place that you're going to be able to reach those folks?
Mm-hmm.
Influencers, right? Some people have great luck in being able to connect with influencers and building those relationships early on. So it's multiple facets, and you really just have to know what it is that you want to do and how you want to show up with your book and book sales. Is it 95% off of Amazon, selling from your own website at events? Because I do have authors that do that. Is it all Amazon because you're just too busy? So you create the marketing plan that's right for you.
Great. And you talked a little bit about influencers. We don't often talk about influencers in terms of children's books, but they absolutely exist. Can you give us an example or two of who an influencer might be?
Sure. So there are a number of teachers who have very popular Instagram accounts who share their favorite books. They share read alouds. There are YouTubers who are reading books and doing a great job with getting the word out about their books. There are other people in your genre who they have a huge following. Think about an influencer is anyone who has a group of people who know, like, trust them. Laura, you're an influencer, right? You have yourself quite an amazing business here. And so my coming to you and building a relationship and a collaboration with you helps get my word out about what I'm doing to all these amazing people. So it's about knowing your niche, knowing your industry, who are the people whose audience that you can borrow, who know, like, and trust them, and you can get that relationship built and you can get the word out there while you're still working on building your own platform. Borrow someone else's. Podcasters, right?
Right.
Reading with your kids podcast. Jedley, amazing. He has a great list of followers, right? So think of the people in your niche who others know, like, and trust, and how can you provide some value to that individual. Some of them will charge for their time or posts or creating a nice read aloud for you, and others are just happy to help others and to network and to build relationships. And that's truly an important part of just growing as an author.
Right. So one of the things that we should all be doing while we're still working on the book is figuring out who the influencers are in our niche and starting to follow them, commenting on what they do, sharing their posts on our Facebook, helping them get the word out, so then they'll want to help you get the word out when it's your turn.
Right. And just make sure when you're connecting with people that you're talking to them and you're connecting on a level for what can you do for them? What can you, how can you help them? And it's about your shared audience, and what does what you're doing help their audience, right? It's not about you. Hey, I'm this. I'm a new author. I have this book. I want you to help me. Like, it's not about you. It has to be about them. And if they're passionate about the niche and the people that they serve, they want to know, what are you going to do, or what does your book do to help those people that know, like, and trust them to bring them great content.
Absolutely. So is there a particular mindset that successful self-published authors need to have? I mean, you said don't give up. That's huge.
Yes.
Anything else that you kind of need to
Yeah, so a
adopt?
lot of times, mindset, people can stumble around, really feel they might be introverts, right? They don't really believe in themselves. They've never done this before. This can be really tricky. So you can do it. Others have gone before you and have done it. So believe it. I've actually had just recently interviewed half a dozen kid authors that I've worked with. They've done it. You can do this. Don't skimp on quality, like mindset. Think of, my quality is important.
Mhm.
I'm going to do this. Have the grit to know that when things get hard, you're going to press through, because every mistake you make is going to be a learning opportunity. It's not going to be easy. And anybody who tells you it's going to be, that you're not going to struggle or fail along the way, but fail forward. Surround yourself with really good people who can help you along the way. A community like what Laura has built here is really important. So surround yourself with folks like that. And don't forget, you're not going to please everyone. You're going to occasionally stumble across a negative review. I always say to my authors, you're not a true author and you can't wear that author hat until you get your first 1-star review. So celebrate when that happens and realize that there are things we can learn from. Your first book isn't going to be your best book. It is going to be a stepping stone. You're going to continue to do amazing work and build your quality. So just focus on continuing to improve your craft and build a great team, build people, surround yourself with others who are going to cheer you on when you feel like giving up. And all of that turns into an amazing mindset and a network of people that won't let you just quit and stumble and disappear. Just make sure that you've got that network, because that's going to be really important.
Excellent, excellent advice. And I love the, making the product as good as it can be because your name is on it. And if this is something that you want to be part of your legacy, you're hoping it will be around for a very long time. And so take the time to do it right. Like you said, don't rush it. But I love that building a team is so important. I agree with that. So I want to get to these questions, but first I'm going to share my screen again real quick. I want you to tell us a little bit about, let me go to the next slide. So your self-publishing made simple, all the resources you have here, and April has been very generous. She has given you all a coupon code, Bacchus, that's my last name, means you have to remember it, for 10% off everything on her site, which is very awesome. So April, why don't you give us a little tour or a little, this is not a live website, this is a picture here, but tell us a little bit about what all you have.
Yeah, so I mean, I do a few things. I work, some people come to me and they say, you know what, I want to grow a business. I want to create one, if it's one, whether it's one book or whether it's something that they're going to grow and continue to create a business for themselves, then they're going to want to work one-on-one with a mentor. I do mentoring with some folks. I also, by the way, I'll just say, I'll throw it out here for these folks that are here today too. I also offer a free consult. If you're just, at a sticking point and you've never worked with me before, you just want somebody to ask a question or to take a look at your cover or give you, your Amazon listing that you're getting ready to press publish and you just don't know if it's ready yet. Go on my website and you can schedule a free consult with me. Where I'm happy to do that. And that's my way of giving back to the author community. I have created courses where I have my signature one is a 12-week author work group, which here in this, we're just finishing, my current cohort is finishing this week. And I know that they're sad that they're going to be leaving and moving on to other things. Maybe my masterminds and things like that will be a great option for them. But what this 12-week course has been my answer for people who tell me, hey, look, I want to create a book. I've got it written, but I have no idea where to move forward or how to begin. And I want to avoid all of the pitfalls that happen. So this 12-week course starts them right from, hey, I've got my manuscript. It's not edited, but it's done. And now I move them through the editing, the illustration, creating marketing plans, creating your press kit, all of the things. And I put it in a way that's very step-by-step. Every week we have 2 meetings a week. I'm live with them. They go through offline. They have things that they're watching, video content. They've got assignments. They've got a work group, a private Facebook group, and they build this relationship with this cohort of 15, 20 or more people that are all going through it at the same time. And at the end of that 12-week period, then the goal is to have a published book ready to go. And we walk them through every step so that it's just a proven framework that just works from one to another. It has been amazing, and it's launched some beautiful best-selling books with accolades and awards. And it's also been an amazing opportunity for people during the pandemic, because so many people had time on their hands, didn't know where to begin, and just used this as an opportunity to really level up their knowledge of self-publishing. And it has individuals that I bring to you, like editors that you can trust, illustrators, approved lists. You've got a contract and all of the different tools and templates along the way are also introduced in here. So if you want someone that walks you through the whole thing, I've got a new cohort that's coming, and that is starting in June. And we're going to be launching, I'm going to be opening the card up for that to be ordered soon. And it is going to start at $549. And that course, that 12-week course, is going to help you get through every part of your self-publishing journey. And you'll have the ability to add additional one-on-one coaching with me if you want. If you are somebody that just says, look, I just want one-on-one coaching, I don't need a group, or I'm in a different phase, then I do offer one-on-one coaching. And I also offer, for those people that say, I don't want to know how the cake is baked, I just want somebody to do this for me. Then I also do project management and publish books for folks, and just let them know along the way how this is going, meet with them, and make sure that, number one, these are their own ISBNs. They have their own, they are the publishers. It's not some hybrid solution or some vanity press that, where they don't have control. So right. I try to really watch what I would want, from my child or my mother or whatever, to be able to get through their own self-publishing journey in a way that is going to be really helpful for them. And in the end, they keep their own royalties. They have, they have the opportunity to continue building and growing their knowledge.
Okay, well, that's awesome. So thank you for that, April. And how wonderful that you all can even get a free consult with April if you want. So tremendous resource here. Take advantage of that, please. This is great. So let's get to some questions here that people have had. Now, some of these I know that we've already kind of touched on in our discussion here. So Jaya says, I've heard from many author webinars that we should promote the book before it's even finished. What are your thoughts on this? I can't see doing this. So what would that even look like? Is it really promoting, or is it more building a list?
Yes. So it is, there are lots of things that you can do that you will feel comfortable with. And one author that I really love described it as taking people on your journey. Claim that author, tell people you're writing a book. If you create your own Facebook page for your author profile, post on your social media, hey guys, I'm writing a book. guess what? If you want to follow my journey, you can go subscribe to this social media page, and I'm going to share my journey along the way. So what you're doing is you're letting people know. Now, remember what we said about that, those statistics. Over 80% of the people out there want to write a book. They wish that they were doing what you're doing. So they're going to be amazed at following what you're doing. When it's time to create your cover and you've got, hey, do you like this one better or this one better? Those are some of the best engaging posts out there. And people want to help you pick your right cover. They want to see character, hey, here's my character. What do you think? Here's the final sketch. They want to follow you along on that journey, and you can do that. You can also start working on building your website, start collecting email addresses. And yes, you're promoting the fact that this book is coming. You're sharing about your why. You're letting people know who you are as an author and building your brand. And you also finding those people, because at the very beginning of this, you should really know, who are you writing for? What are their pain points? What are the problems that they're facing that you're going to help them resolve? And when you're posting, you're finding, where are these people living? Is it, are you writing something for homeschoolers, for teachers? Where do these people hang out on the internet? Is it Facebook groups? Are there other things? So you're connecting with people. You're creating things that may be really helpful for them, posting social things that they would love to share, and they want to follow you and build loyalty, brand loyalty, before you ever even launch your book.
You talked before about finding the influencers. So once your book is out, you can offer to do guest posts on other people's blogs who reach the audience that you want to reach. And the trick is, correct me if I'm wrong here, but you don't want your post to be, oh, go buy my book. You want it to be, like you said, solving some problem this audience might have. But in the post, you can refer to your book, and it can be in your bio. Is that a good strategy as far as once your book is out and as part of your promotion strategy?
Yeah, absolutely. You can utilize others and get books. I've seen some authors even create these beautiful books that they share with influencers. They package them beautifully so that some of their favorite influencers may receive these books in hardcover way ahead of the book being ready. And so they've got it in their mind, and they're giving themselves, 4, 6, 8 weeks ahead of their launch to create a launch team, to create buzz with influencers, to create buzz with social posts and emails, and just really take advantage of that, building the hype, building the anticipation for that release. And that can make the difference between a launch where I had one author that had over 100 reviews by the time the book was launched. And there were she put herself out there for bloggers, and she wrote guest posts and kind of put her book on tour. Like, okay, this person's going to post it here. And she had a whole calendar filled with, these are all the things that are happening with my book. And your book can go on tour with libraries. You can read things ahead of time. You can let people know, as you're holding your book, you're reading it, you're showing it, it's on pre-order for the next 4 weeks, right? So you have that opportunity to build the anticipation and get all those pre-orders. And if you have a huge amount of pre-orders, when your book goes live, all of those orders get counted as day one sales. Your book goes live, you've got 100 pre-orders or more, and you're going to get that #1 new release, you're going to get bestseller, because it counts all of those as being sold in one day. And then of course you don't want to stop there. You want to continue the sales and to continue moving forward with your release, to driving more sales to your book, but build that hype, get those ads going, and do multiple facets for launching your book prior to the actual book launch. You have to give
Mhm.
yourself I'd say 8 weeks if you can, and
Right.
at least 6 weeks to build up that hype.
Excellent. Wow. A lot to know.
Mhm.
We've got several questions in here about press releases, media kits. Do those do any, that's very old school.
Mhm.
When I worked in publicity at Random House back in the 80s, we sent out press releases for every book we did on paper. But obviously, a lot of that has changed. Do people do that anymore?
So I focus more, I think press releases are a great way of getting information out to your local news media.
Mhm.
But press kits and media or slash media kits are a way for you to document your brand, right? You, the author, what does your book provide, and put a kit together. And we do this in my self-publishing workshop, my self-publishing course, where right at the beginning, I'm sharing samples of press kits. Because let's just say you are going to want to get media attention, or you want to reach out to, let's say, Love What Matters, or some of those
Mhm.
other sites that are going to help you get publicity for your book. And you want to be able to send them a quick email with a pitch that's going to be in and out, because they're not going to read a huge wall of text or multiple page emails all about you and your book. But if you can give them a nice small pitch with a few sentences in an email to kind of hook them, and then attach your press kit, which tells all about your book, you, the author, what you're trying to accomplish, who the book is for, what makes it special, then you have that ability to have them, you giving them everything they need to be able to write a great article, or determine whether or not you're a good fit for their podcast, their show, their radio show, their television show. And
Mhm.
that, in combined with really great pitching and identifying the right people to reach out to, will go a lot farther than just a blast of a press
Right.
release.
Right. Okay, terrific. We've had several other questions along the lines of distribution, getting your book into stores and libraries, which are two different things. Do you help walk people through that step
Yes,
as well?
we do. So a couple of things that I will recommend for indie authors is, I don't recommend ignoring Amazon, although I do have some authors that say, I do not want to deal with Amazon because for one reason or another, they feel strongly about that. I
Mhm.
normally recommend Amazon as a channel to get your book out there. KDP is really user friendly, and it provides a lot of information. It provides this information superhighway of people looking for books just like yours, right? So take advantage of that. I also recommend that you use Ingram Spark.
Mhm.
They are a great way of getting your book into Barnes and Noble, Target, Walmart, and many, many, many online retailers. If your book sells well in that channel, you're going to be able to then they may even bring it in-house. So you
Mhm.
could end up on the shelves of Barnes and Noble or one of these other online retailers to have that retail presence for your book as well.
Hmm.
So that's important. There's
Mhm.
also the Indie Author Project, which is a way for you to submit your book directly to libraries. They will evaluate the quality of your book, and it will be immediately available in your local area for your own local library. And if your book is of a high enough quality that it becomes part of their select collection, then that book, that collection is available and pushed out for libraries in the US and Canada.
Hmm.
And if that you become part of that, you also have the opportunity to opt in and actually earn royalties for those indie author project catalog, and the ebooks that are sold within that.
That's awesome. That's great. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the Indie Author Project, INDIE Author
Correct.
Project.
Yes.
Terrific.
Mhm.
All right. Well, I'm not going to keep you here all night, even though we have lots of questions. I just want to ask one more here. And while I do that, I'm going to put your slide back up here with your website and the coupon code.
Mhm.
People have asked sort of profit margins, and I know that that is a hard question to answer because it depends so much on the book itself and the format and how you sell it, etc. Is there sort of a minimum profit that you are striving for as a self-published author, that you know you want to at least make this percentage profit per book?
Yeah, so when I look out on, the types of platforms that I just shared with you, I'm typically seeing, at least for the children's book side, royalties around anywhere between $2 and $5 a book. So it does require you to, if you want to get much higher value from your books, then selling on your own website and making, $10 a book or more is going to be a lot more beneficial. But then it comes with some additional things like you need to print in bulk, or then you need to fulfill those. So take a look at what you are willing to do. For some of my authors, they're very happy with print on demand through Amazon and Ingram Spark, because it can provide thousands of dollars a month in royalties, because of the volume that happens with print on demand. With like hands off, somebody goes on and orders your book, Amazon prints it or Ingram Spark prints it and then sends it out, and there's no hands-on stuff. For those that are really thinking, I want to make as much as possible, I want the highest quality books as possible, then they're dealing with selling at events, doing things on their website, and they're dealing with Amazon fulfillment, where they send books to Amazon and have Amazon fulfill those orders. And yes, you can make, $7, $10 a book or more, depending on how you've priced your book.
Wow. So there's a lot of variables there, but
really
it's good to know that there is that significant profit margin that is possible, which is great. And as for those of you who are brand new to publishing, you might not realize that if you traditionally publish, the average royalty rate is 10%. And that is split between the author and illustrator if you are doing a picture book and you are not writing and illustrating it, but you're only doing half that. And that more and more these days is 10% on the net price the publisher receives for the book, not the retail price. So the royalties are shrinking in the traditional publishing field. For a lot of reasons. And so that is something to just keep in mind when you're weighing your options here.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, this is, keep the royalties for yourself, work to continue to improve your knowledge, and you'll end up becoming a better business person. Certainly if you're going to do a book run with 1,000 books or 500 books because you're just getting started and you want to prove that you can make a profit, turn a profit, and sell at events and other things, the profit margin is going to be much less than if you're doing a book run of 5,000 books. So there's lots of different things that happen. Now, if you got lots more lots more profit available if you're running 5,000 books, but where are you going to store them? How are you going to fill them? So we do evaluate a lot of that and really run through the different options with our authors and through our course to determine what's the best option for them.
Great. Terrific. Well, April, this has been really educational. Thank you so much for your time tonight. And I hope you all go check out her website and see all she has to offer. But good luck to everybody who's contemplating self-publishing.
And you're going to be coming and being a guest at my event soon, right? So I'm looking forward to that.
Yes.
So we've got some time with Laura, and I do have some upcoming events as well. You might want to check out on the website. Just look at the upcoming events. You'll find Laura, you'll find others there as well. lots of great, I usually have at least 3 or 4 meetings a month just with great things just like this for people that just want to learn. So join me and join other great speakers and just continue to learn from Laura and others, because this is something that takes time to grow and learn. And we're happy to be a part of your journey. And this, I just feel really blessed. And thank you so much, Laura, for having me.
It's been my pleasure. It's my pleasure. Well, yeah, thank you all for joining us tonight, and we will see you next time on the Kidlit Social. Good night, everybody.
Hi, everyone.